My name is Simon de Merode. I'm the manager of this family house. It's been in the family for more than 500 years. The original tower has been built in the 14th century. And as I said, the good thing with the climate crisis with historic houses is they've been built with the manpower, local materials, and so they are, in their building process, they've been more or less CO2 neutral or CO2 negative. The problem we have is in the use of the house. It's huge volumes. How do we try to decrease the impact on the CO2 emissions? Because this is what the IPCC is asking us, 20% decrease every year until we reach net zero emission in 2050. So as a family with my brothers and sister, we said, look, it's a bit useless to try to maintain historic heritage if it's to destroy the future. So let's try to do our part there. So besides the windows, which we all change into double glass, or the isolation in the attics, we worked this year on the heating system. And there is so much water around the house that we tried to figure out how can we use the calories that are in the water, so the warmth accumulated in the water, thanks to the sun, thanks to the ground, and use it to heat the house. It's a very simple process. It's called aquathermal. It's worked with a heat pump. The technology exists since years and years and years. The only issue is that it's always been used for new buildings or buildings which are heated with a low temperature. It's never really been plugged apart in one house in one castle in Holland. It's never really been plugged in such a huge old system with big volumes like this, at least in Belgium. So we met engineers, and they said it's completely possible. The increase of the technology, the power of the heat pumps are now, if you put the right heat exchanger in the moat, it's going to work. So what is the principle is there is warmth in the water. We did put, I think, 3 heat exchangers of 5 meters on 2 meters in the moat at a place where there's a lot of current. I mean, a lot of current. The water is being pushed away by new water relatively well. So in the heat exchanger, there is water mixed with the liquid so that it doesn't freeze. The water goes in the heat exchanger, takes the warmth from the moat, brings it in the heat pump. The heat pump does its work with the gas compression, decompression, and creates extra heat. And actually, it creates almost, in the real winter, it creates almost enough energy to compensate for the energy that we lose in the heating system of the house. So when the water leaves at 50 degrees in the radiators and comes back at 46, the heat pumps creates the 4 degrees that we are losing. And so basically we are using part of the calorie in the water, we bring it in the heat pump increases the warmth difference and sends it in the heat system of the house. So it works pretty well. And the only energy that we need is electricity to make the heat pump turn. And for that, we did place solar panels on the roof of a warehouse, so that we don't have to disturb the facade or the roof of the castle. And we only pay for the distribution to the network provider for the energy that we produce on our warehouse to be consumed here. In the winter, the solar panel only have 20-25% return, so we still need to use electricity from the network. But we are looking at other opportunities, wind moles in the chimneys which are not all in use anymore. There's a lot of wind. We are realizing when we do fire here, we see sometimes in the morning that some of the ashes are back on the carpet. So there's definitely wind in the chimney. How much electricity can we produce with the wind without that we see it with a wind turbine? We don't know, but we know that some other buildings are trying this. So we are looking at every opportunity to create extra electricity. And in case we don't have enough, we have our own engine producing electricity based on gas, and then we recuperate the heat to put it in the system. So this year we are decreasing the CO2 emission by 50% for the heating system only. Probably a bit more because of the solar panel and the electricity. And so the objective is to keep decreasing every year. See where we can. It's a game almost. It's becoming a game, and it's a funny one, and a useful one. It was not difficult because they were pretty convinced that it would work, and they knew that such a building, which is it's still for Flanders, it's an iconic historic house. There are 4 or 5 like this in Flanders, maybe in Belgium, and so for them it's an added value because they got a press article, we got a reward from the Federation of the Energy Transition, we won the prize. So now they come every week with owner of other buildings to show how it works here. So I mean, it's good if historic houses can be used to show and lead the way to the future, or be part of the energetic transition. Then I think it's very important that we do it and that we show the example, that we stop the critics before they arrive, that all those houses consume way too much energy and that it's something from the past. So if we want to protect the future of those houses, we need to be leading the energy transition. So it was not difficult to find people who wanted to help us, no. No, we didn't think about subsidies because the problem is, again, it's the same. We are lucky to have been working well before and just after COVID, so we had a bit of reserve and we decided to use them. Even though it might not have been the best financial choice, maybe we could have waited for subsidies and stuff. The problem is if you put €1 against every decision that you need to make in the energy transition, nothing will happen. At one point, we need to move forward and we need to have not only the euro, but we need to have the impact, not only financial impact, but the impact you have for the visibility of such a project, of such a technology, or for the visibility or the impact you have on the planet. What is the value for the nature? Everyone counts in euro. We need to switch. It's like the GDP, the GDP of this country, the GDP of this country. But if the GDP of China is so high, but no one can live there because it's so polluted, then we need to take that into account actually in the GDP. I've always been completely puzzled about this GDP thing and this growth. If growing is to feel worse after you grew, then I prefer to remain small, you see, which I am, by the way. So it's for us, it needed to be interesting at an economical level, otherwise we would not have done it. But we were not there calculating, am I going to save 5% or 10% or 15%? For us, the statu quo in terms of cost was good as well. So we didn't count until the last euro, no. I have no advice to give to other people, but I think everything depends on the house itself to start with. Do you have water? Do you have wind? Do you have sun? You'll probably not do the same in Spain as you do here. Do you have bad agricultural land where you can't exploit anything and where you should try to create agri-photovoltaism projects, which we are doing on another estate right now. I say everything starts with the location. How much energy do you need? So there are different technologies. They are there. You just need to go and look and find the best way. We also looked at putting solar panel on the actual roof of the castle. We had the authorization of the listed buildings to put it on the les dépendances, so the other building. But still, I'm not convinced electricity in a roof full of wood, it's a bit dangerous. So I was not in favor of that. I would have preferred that they gave me the authorization to put it on the bank of the river, but then you have problem for biodiversity sometimes. So you need to look at all the options. But water is definitely something that a lot of castles have, and where they should look at it, because you don't need huge lakes of surface of water. You just need enough to get the calorie you need for the interior of the house. So if the house is not as big as here, but it's got water and a bit of current, it works.